As beautiful as it was to hit the roads and trails of the Water Gap and the pines, so was the rest of the Northeast. It's been a few years now, and after years of exploring the northeast coast, Ellie, my 2004 Toyota RAV4, had changed quite a bit. Upgrades over the years featuring a desert air intake coming from a 90 series Toyota Land Cruiser. It's meant to bring in cooler air into the engine, as well as introduce induction into the engine at higher highway speeds. This is meant to increase efficiency as well as longevity. I also opted to go with the Uniroyal Tiger Paws to give Ellie an additional 1 inch of lift, as well as give her amazing traction on rough terrain. Ellie also got a suspension lift kit designed by Rocky Road Outfitters, featuring Old Man Emo suspension and shocks. This suspension gave Ellie a good 3 inches of lift, as well as improved her weight transfer dynamics. I also installed a navigation console featuring an iPad connected to a Garmin inReach, running Gaia Maps. This was a time before Onyx Off-Road had taken over the off-road mapping scene, and a time before tablets featured GPS units. And finally, I upgraded Ellie's lighting kit, featuring LED headlights, which were calibrated so I wasn't blinding people on the highways, as well as a light ECU tune so I can get even more power and more efficiency out of the desert air intake. I tried to build out Ellie in a way that prioritized self-sustainability as well as durability. I wanted to be able to go out into the woods farther and deeper for longer periods of time. During the upgrade planning and process, there was even a plan to challenge the Trans-America Trail. It's a trail that goes from New York to California, mostly on backroad trails and off-road trails, and it gives you a chance to see what Americans pretty much miss. A chance to see the real wild America.
Oh, this is
Now,
nice.
Down in the Jersey Pine Barrens, the more I drove, the more I explored, the more amazing things I was discovering down there. The Pine Barrens were definitely hiding its own secrets.
And this is where it ends.
I was finding cranberry bogs dating back to the 1920s, furnaces that used to smelt iron from the 1850s powering New York and Philadelphia, sand pits, active military bases, and even the back end of Six Flags. Each trail or area had its own challenges: still and flowing water crossings, soft, sugar-like sand, intercrossed roots, quicksand, and the occasional downtree. Water crossings were the most risky, but over the years I'd learned how to assess water crossings and how to cross them safely. There's this weird observation that you'll make when you're down in South Jersey. You'll notice that even when you're far inland, there's sand all over the place. Up to the point where I've had people question, are we close to the beach? It's in this sandy environment where the nickname for the region came from. These pitch pine trees dominate the landscape. But also in this sandy area, deep hidden inside the Pine Barrens, you would come across these vast expanses of sand that can only really be described as Jersey sand dunes.
Yeah, this is definitely the other clearing.
Want to know what else would look good in your angle?
No. Yeah, this is it right here. This is where all the pictures happen.
Oh, this is so cool.
A lot of these expanses are natural formations, and some of them were formed where they used to harvest heavy metals and minerals here.
kind of just driving and like seeing how far it goes.
There are articles and stories you can find online about how they've rehabilitated the land over the years, but it's still fascinating that these are out here. But the blue holes and the crystal lakes? You can't talk about the Pine Barrens and not talk about the crystal lakes and the blue holes that exist out here, because yearly people end up drowning in them. I didn't realize this when I was down there, but there's this shelf just hiding underneath the water. It goes from a few inches deep underwater, then all of a sudden it drops down 50 or 100 feet. This sudden drop creates a convective current that brings all that cold water from the deepest part and brings it up to the surface. So that even though it's the hottest day in the summer, these crystal lakes are ice cold. But because of how cold it can get and how sudden and deep it goes, a lot of people experience muscle cramps, and that's how these places take them. Growing up, living in New Jersey, I didn't think we had places like this. It's absolutely stunning to think what could just be hiding around the corner if you would only just take a peek. The Delaware Water Gap, gnarled roots, washouts, mud, and rocks. There were these fields that I would stumble across riverside. It looked like at some point that they were used for farming. During the summer, I'd come across some of these fields, and right by the water, you would see all these people just hanging out, trying to cool off in the summer sun. Sometimes, not too far away, you'd find the foundations of where these farmhouses used to be. As weird as it sounds, over the years I've really felt like I've connected with Ellie. I can predict how she'll handle on certain obstacles, and I know almost exactly how to deliver power so she can get traction to her wheels. On the highway, it's almost like she knows exactly when to deliver power to get around an obstacle or just to avoid slower traffic. Through maintenance and doing a lot of the upgrades myself, I really felt a connection to Ellie. I really felt like she was an extension to my body. At this point, I was starting to explore further up the Delaware River. I actually had to sit down and plan my trips because just the one-way hop to get out there was almost 2.5 to 3 hours. It wasn't all highway miles that would take up most of my time. It was all these old winding roads that I would have to drive through, and each drive was amazing. But again, damn, it was absolutely stunning out there. It was a cold December morning, my birthday. Instead of cakes or candles, I decided to give back to the woods. I joined a winter trail cleanup down in the Pine Barrens. I signed up with the off-roading group I belonged to, and me and my friend tagged along.
Happy birthday to me.
There were rigs of every shape and weight class, and there was even a vintage Pinsgauer riding with us, completely from another era. Snow dusted the trails in the morning and disappeared as the day wore on. We moved from clearing to clearing, lugging out garbage that we would find, leaving each area better than when we found it. It was a great day, and thanks to the organizers, I was able to see places in the Pine Barrens that I've never seen before. And Ellie, she felt really strong, going from area to area, keeping up with these rigs. As light began to fade, we were in one of the many sand pits in the Pine Barrens. A small crowd was gathering around one last obstacle. One built-up rig went through, clean. A soft roader, same class as me, had gone through, no problem. But I watched and I waited, and I gave it a shot. The pit took a bite and held us. Sand and slurry was pulling at Ellie's tires, and time felt like it was stretching into eternity. Eventually we were tug free, a little embarrassed, but we were moving. My practice hands started moving and started working on my post-crossing routine. But immediately, I felt something was wrong. There was a stumble in Ellie's RPMs, there was a hesitation, and as I started moving, Ellie started feeling heavy and her engine gave out. The people we were with had come in, tried to offer help, and we were even replacing some components. The cold was settling into the pines and darkness was rolling in fast. With whatever strength she had left, Ellie coughed back to life to limp me out of the woods, just long enough to carry me out of the woods to safety just by the highway. And that's where she finally rested. I had her towed to a mechanic and the diagnosis was merciless. Fine sand had found its way to where it didn't belong. Electronics shorted. The time we were stuck in the water, slurry had crept in through the exhaust and hardened under Ellie's hot exhaust gases. Back pressure rippled through her engine and destroyed everything along the way, all the way up to her intake valves. Her electrical systems were gone. Her engine refused to fire. It wasn't the pines, it wasn't the water, it was me. On that day, on my birthday, I lost my best friend. I lost Ellie.